Like many of you out there, I have a love-hate relationship with Valorant, and I have ever since the closed beta launched earlier this year. When the game was first released, my sleep schedule was absolutely ruined. Most of my friends were dying to get access to the beta, and nearly every streamer was playing the game. Among the hype, speculation rose about Valorant skyrocketing past CSGO, Overwatch, and Rainbow Six Siege. Now, the game is set to make its own impact in the esports industry if they can just address some of the major problems. Riot released patch 1.0 for Valorant, which means that the title is fully launched, but it doesn't feel that way. Today at ESTNN, we're gonna run down Valorant's launch and why many fans feel underwhelmed. If you want the TLDR before we start getting into details, there's a new agent and her name is Reyna. There's a new map called Ascent. There are some changes to Split. There's a new arcade mode called Spike Rush. It's awful. And then there is a battle pass, and I'm guessing that it's going to change every season, or what are now being called episodes. And of course, the first season/episode is Ignition. First, we're going to talk about one of the biggest additions to Valorant now that it is fully launched, and that is the new agent Reyna. And she is an absolute powerhouse. She comes from Mexico, and she's a feast or famine kind of duelist. And 2 out of her 3 abilities actually rely on her getting kills to even be used. Her first ability, Lear, casts an Eye of Sauron forward, and it nearsights enemies. It's similar to Omen's Paranoia ability. The orb can be destroyed by enemies to cancel out the effect, and it can be cast through walls, but it has a fixed distance. The eye doesn't last for very long, and it only works if the enemy players are looking directly at it. Now you'll notice when Reyna kills an enemy, a soul orb appears, which is almost identical to what we saw with Reaper in the original Overwatch build that he had. Now, what she does is these orbs can be consumed to fuel or use either one of her 2 different abilities. Now, Devour starts healing her for 100 over time, and it goes into overheal if it fills the health. So let's say that you're at 60 health and you use Devour, you would get, 40 health back and then a 10 overheal. Now, that overheal kind of works like a shield, but when the timer runs out from Devour, you lose the overheal. Her second ability, Dismiss, basically makes her unkillable. She becomes ethereal, and she can't use her gun, so this is a great option for her to get out and reposition. Enemies can follow you though, and capitalize on the small animation window where she doesn't quite have her gun out yet. Now, her ultimate ability, Empress, increases her fire rate, her equip rate, and her reload speed. And getting kills restarts the ultimate, giving you more time to feast on the enemy. Now, if you do kill someone in this state, Reyna will automatically start to absorb the orb to heal herself, instead of requiring you to press Q. The cool part about her ultimate is that you can now use the E ability in the Empress state to make her go completely invisible for a short period of time. Now, before you think it's completely OP, just listen for her cackling audio cue, and she will rematerialize in that general direction. In the full release of Valorant, aka patch 1.0, Riot rolled out a number of changes to all of the agents, some that were pretty major and another few minor ones. For Sage, her healing got a cooldown increase, it's now 45 seconds, and her barrier orb each segment now only has 800 health, but it does last 10 seconds longer. Jett's cloudbursts now last for 7 seconds instead of the 4 that they were before, and Tailwind will break Cypher's trapwire after it's been detected. Now for Phoenix, Blaze got a few major buffs. It increased its duration, and it does more damage over time, as well as some more healing over time. But they balanced it out in order to leave Hot Hands as the primary healing ability, which will still make Blaze a viable skill, but also make Hot Hand your go-to if you need some fast healing. He also got some minor changes like run it back reloading all of his weapons and an increased flash duration during curveball. Next up we've got Omen, and he got more control over his abilities in this patch, which acts as a buff. He has more control over where he places his dark cover smokes, allowing him to place them in a 3D environment versus just the straight line and mini-map that he's had to use before. This is super nice because it puts him on par with Brimstone, who has always been able to place more accurate smokes for his team. And in a last little addition, guess what, all of you Cypher mains, your bug locations for your camera have been fixed. There are a numerous amount of little changes on each map to where Cyphers used to be able to place their cameras in angles that didn't seem like they would be beneficial to fair play. But let's start off with my favorite part of the new release, and that is Ascent. Now, it's a pretty cool map, and I'm so glad that they didn't make another 3 capture point map. The B-side is basically the training area where players can practice against bots, and the rest of the map is fleshed out well, with a nice mid that opens up into 2 sections and features numerous sightlines. Once you get on a roll on Ascent, it can be very easy for the enemy to stop you, and there are a lot of different options and ways that you can attack each objective. The addition of Ascent shows promise for the future of Valorant if they keep adding well-designed maps such as this. Next in the line of balance changes came to Split, my least favorite map. The wall on the left has finally been removed, opening up this middle area for more attacking opportunities. Now, one of the things I like about Ascent is that it has a nice open mid area, and hopefully this will make Split a little bit more enjoyable. Now, you do get a lot more options on the defending side of where you want to hold this. As you can see on Jet, you can get up on this wall. And what I learned is that not only can you wall bang through this first wall, but that second wall all the way back in the corner, you can wall bang through that one as well. And you'll see it on the attacking side. You gotta watch out for this. Valorant's new Battle Pass is far above par from what you would see in other games like Apex and Warzone. The $10 price tag is pretty generic across most titles, and in Valorant, there is a long road to grind. Completing the Battle Pass will unlock the Kingdom skin set for the Bucky, Phantom, the Classic, and the Knife. You'll get the Couture skin set for the Bulldog, Stinger, Frenzy, and Marshall, and my favorite, the .exe skin for the Odin, Ghost, Judge, and the Vandal. You also get a handful of sprays, cards, gun buddies, and about 1,000 Radianite, not to be confused with the Valorant points which you use to buy the skins and the Battle Pass. I mean, sure, now you don't have to spend any real money on modifying your weapons, but not a single gun from the Battle Pass has any sort of upgrade or variant. So save it up till you decide to spend more real money and buy another gun skin, which you likely will. At least they give you something besides experience boosters like you see in Warzone. In addition to that, we also got a new game mode, which I hope that I never ever have to play again. The 4 rounds that I have played of this, recording this video and with my friends, were atrocious, even when we won. If you're not familiar, the new mode Spike Rush is a shortened fever dream of what Valorant is at its core. So the game mode is a first to 4. Each one of the attackers has a bomb, and instead of ultimate orbs, there's random power-up orbs. And it's also gun game because everyone starts with a new random gun, but you can upgrade your gun. I don't know where they got this. They could have just done a deathmatch or done a first to 6 or 7 series to make the matches shorter. I don't think anybody really wanted Spike Rush, but it'll have to do as it's the only shortened form of Valorant that we have currently. Well, and if you're thinking, screw it, I don't need to play unranked, I'll just hop right into competitive. Sorely mistaken, my friend. On Valorant's full launch, they left out competitive play. Now this is the major dampener on all of Valorant's full launch as it is. It's the absence of ranked play, a feature that came late to the beta but kind of defined what the game was at its core. I get it, there are issues with the queue system. Solo players often facing up against 5 stacks and just some weird kind of skill rankings. I would rather have the ranked mode work as intended rather than remain the mess that it was in the closed beta, but it doesn't seem right to call Valorant's 1.0 launch the full launch because it doesn't have all of the features. It doesn't make sense to put ranked out there in the closed beta if you're not going to have it refined in time for a full launch or your 1.0 patch launch. Now I know I sound like a cranky, bitter person, but hear me out on this. There are two very different attitudes and approaches when it comes to playing Valorant. Some people go into the unranked mode and just use it as a way to learn, test out new heroes, and just try things out. For others, it's time to get good and try hard their matches. There's nothing wrong with either side, but the issue is that when you have some people on your team that are really striving to improve and get the wins, and you have other people who are just learning or testing things out regardless of their skill level, you're gonna start getting some miscommunication and unhappy team matches. Doing a 1st to 7 style arcade mode would have been more beneficial to players as well versus the Spike Rush, because Spike Rush doesn't accurately represent how a hero or an agent is going to perform in a real match of Valorant. At least in a shortened game mode, then they would get a real taste for the hero without having to commit 40 minutes just to learning or trying something new. And not everybody has 9 other friends that they can load up with into a custom game. But wait, there is more. Talking about community attitude and behavior, we have to talk about the toxicity that is still an issue. The community is still as toxic as ever, and for the most part, I don't think that's gonna change. At least not without major sweeping efforts from Riot. The issue ranges from being team killed by a bottom fragging Raze all the way to just straight up racism. No matter how fun the game is or how good the shooting feels, and I want to reiterate this, no one wants to stick around for 40 minutes of verbal abuse and then hop into another round. It just doesn't happen. If Riot can focus on continually improving the game, fostering the consistent competition that we see at all levels, all while trying to battle the toxicity in the game, then I think that Valorant could be insanely successful. I don't think that it'll surpass CSGO or Overwatch, I don't think it'll do any major upsets, but I think that it will find its own niche quite nicely. My name is Malik, thank you guys so much for tuning in, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Once again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.